The first question is, what is your full name? I know that. Do you know why your parents selected that name for you? Was there a story behind that?
I think there was a Norma in Daddy's family, Norma Drury, and that was a cousin.
Oh, you think you were named after her,
I think
probably.
so.
And then the other part of the question is, did you have a nickname?
Buzz,
Where did that come from?
because I was buzzing around all the
Kind of like Brent, buzzing around.
No,
He was always buzzing around. I remember.
I know the reason they called me Buzz was because I was like a bee buzzing around.
That's cute. When and where were you born?
Portland, Oregon, on the 82nd and Division.
Was there a hospital there then?
No.
You were born at home?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
All of us were.
really? That's interesting. Do you remember? No, I'm sure we have this someplace. Do you remember the date you were born?
March 4th, 1928.
Okay. And how did your family come to live in that house?
It was a house that my father moved to the neighborhood of Division and 82nd.
Okay.
And it was the same neighborhood my grandma Erickson lived in.
Oh, I see. Okay. So did they buy a house there then?
Well, I think they moved it there to that area. I might be wrong.
They moved the house, you
I
thinking?
think they did.
Oh. Okay.
It was in the neighborhood of my grandma Erickson.
Okay.
And once she took a butcher knife and she was going to kill Mother.
Why?
Well, she was mean, very
I guess.
jealous, very jealous.
That's horrible. Wow.
I shouldn't repeat bad news.
Oh, well. She's not alive anymore. It says, were there other family members in the area, and who were they? Anybody besides your grandmother?
My Uncle John and my grandmother and mother and daddy and other neighbors. They were, I forget, their name wasn't Lundquist, it was kind of like Maryland. I forget what their name was.
Well, that's kind of nice. You were close to your family then.
Aunt Leah lived on 75th off of Division.
Oh, that's pretty close. That's nice. It says, what was the house like? How many rooms? Did it have bathrooms? Did you have electricity, indoor plumbing, and telephones? Do you remember that in that house?
We had a telephone and indoor plumbing
And electricity?
and electricity.
Do you know how big the house was? Do you remember anything about that?
Well, it had 2 bedrooms and all 4 of us girls slept in the same room.
Wow, that was crowded. Was it a big room?
I can't remember. It seemed big to me, but
Now, were there any special items in the house that you remember? Anything about that house that you remember in particular?
I know it wasn't very big. And it had a homey kitchen. My mother I remember the linoleum on the floor.
Now, that was probably just a one-story house. It probably
It
just
was one story. I think it might still be there.
Really.
I'm not sure.
It'd be fun to go by there sometime and see if it was still there.
It may not be.
Do you remember the address, or was it on the corner?
It was on Division and near 82nd.
Was it a corner house?
No, it was in the middle of the block. And my grandma's house might still be there on 84th. And my Uncle John lives in the same area.
How many years did you live in that house then? Do you remember how old you were when you moved from there?
I don't remember.
You must have been older, because if you can remember being there, if you were born there, And then you remembered, do you remember going to school when you lived in that house?
Yes, I went Binsby. It was a
Binsby?
Binsby grade school.
Oh, okay, I've heard of Densby. So you probably didn't go to high school there, did you? Or do you remember that?
I'm trying to remember. I think I did.
Didn't you go to Lincoln High
I
School?
went to Lincoln.
Do you remember how many houses you grew up, what you lived in as you were growing up? How many different houses?
About 3. One was rented, and the other was my father bought, and he built houses too.
So the house you were born in, was that was the one he rented or bought?
He bought it.
Now, do you know if the one you rented, you were renting because of the Depression?
I don't know, honey. I didn't know about depressions.
Okay, you don't remember that.
Did you have any crushes on boys in high school?
I did have.
We haven't got to that question yet.
Well, we were talking about
We're still in
high school.
early years. Okay, what is your earliest childhood memory?
Being in the kitchen and looking at the linoleum.
Really? You probably spent a lot of time in the kitchen,
I
maybe,
think so.
with your mom. Okay, here's this one. Describe the personalities of your family members. So I guess start with your dad and then your mom and then go down that way.
Mother was bossy, and my father he babied me. And I never wanted to get off his lap. I always wanted to sit on his lap. And my mother, I remember me turning her turning me over her knee and spanking my bottom.
Oh, do you remember what you did to deserve that?
I don't remember.
Did you get spanked very much?
I thought it was all my life.
Really? So you must have been in trouble all the time. Do you remember anything else about your mom besides being bossy?
Well, I loved her a lot. And
Would you say she wore the pants in the family?
I would say so. My father would agree.
She was the one that made a lot of decisions, it sounds like.
That sounds like it.
So now what about your dad then? What was his personality like?
Well, he was very loving and rocked me on his back until I got too heavy for him to rock me.
He was probably a hard worker, I imagine.
He worked hard to earn money. He was always tired, and when he got home, he was a plasterer, and it was a hard job.
Do you remember anything else your dad did, like for fun? I mean, did he have any hobbies? I don't know. People had hobbies back then, but
I don't think he per se had hobbies.
like, did he know how to fix cars?
He didn't like to work on cars.
Oh, okay.
He got angry
Oh,
working on them.
okay. What about, who came next? Bessie.
She
Bessie's
was always a
personality.
good sister, a good older sister. And I could go to her with my problems.
Who was next, Vera or
Ethel.
Ethel?
And she always reminded me of bubble gum. They called her Bubbles.
That's funny, because she was laughing all the time?
Yeah,
or
she was.
cheerful?
I guess she was laughing a lot.
That's funny. So was that her nickname? Or you
I
just
think
thought of her
I
that
would
way?
say, I think I heard it around.
So she laughed a lot and she was funny?
I don't remember that.
Okay, then what about Vera?
Vera, she was feisty. You didn't dare touch her. She'd scream, she'd lay on the down part and scream her till she was hoarse.
Oh. And then there's, who else is there? Just you, right?
Pardon?
Just you. There's nobody else, is there? So, how would you describe yourself?
Shy.
Shy? Were you the shyest of all the girls, do you think?
I imagine.
What kind of games did you play growing up?
Hopscotch.
Remember any other kind of games like
Tag.
did girls
Tag.
Did girls play jacks or was that just
Yes,
always
we did.
Probably hide and go seek maybe?
Yes, we liked that. At night especially.
Now my dad remembers playing kick the can a lot. Did you play that?
Uh-huh. I think it was a popular game for kids.
Yeah.
How about spin the bottle?
We did that too.
With boys or girls?
They were supposed to kiss the boys, but I don't think we did. We probably screamed when we had to.
Okay, what was your favorite toy and why? What sticks in your memory?
I remember elephant, the ears that were flappy, and that's all I remember about it.
Well, was it a stuffed toy or one of those ones like on wheels?
On wheels.
Oh, on wheels? Okay. No, I don't know. Did you push those kind of toys? Did you push them like
I
a
think
baby buggy?
you could pull them.
Oh, you could pull it. Okay, and probably its ears would flap maybe when you pulled it. That sounds like a cute toy. I wish you
was
still
cute.
had it. I don't think I've seen one of those. What was your favorite thing to do for fun when you were younger?
Hide and seek. I forget what games we played.
Did you like to play with your dolls a lot when you were little?
I did.
What about going to the beach or movies,
We
camping?
didn't get to go to the beach very often. I can remember thinking at the beach, the houses were on stilts, and the water would be rushing.
So you were pretending to be at the beach, probably.
No, I was. That's
Oh.
what I thought it might be like.
Oh, you had to envision it because you hadn't actually gone there when you.
I hadn't gone.
So you probably didn't go there till you were in high school, maybe, or.
I don't know.
What about movies?
Seldom, but very seldom. They used to have them in the grade schools,
Oh.
and we got to see them there.
Do you remember any movie in particular that sticks in your
I
mind
don't
that you really
remember.
liked? Okay. Do you remember having any family chores?
Yes, I had to roll up the rugs. It took all day.
Wow, you must have had a lot of rugs.
I think I was lazy.
Oh, did you have someone help you carry those outside? Were they little rugs or big rugs?
Little rugs. And I had to shake them and the dust would fly.
So did you ever use a rug beater, or just you
I
shake the rugs?
remember hanging them over the clothesline and beating them with something.
So do you remember any other kind of chores you had besides that?
I had to clean our bedrooms.
Mm-hmm. Did you have to help with cooking or any of those types of things, setting the table, dishes?
Yes, setting the table. That was one of the easy jobs I had to do.
Probably because you were the littlest.
Mhm.
What was your least favorite job you had to do?
Cleaning my room, I think.
Okay. Did you receive an allowance?
No,
No. Okay. When you did get money, did you like to save it or spend it?
probably spent it on penny candy. They were suckers. They were taffy. They were like taffy, and they were so good. They were chocolate covered, and I just loved them. Do you remember them, Trudy?
It kind of sounds like a Look bar, but on a stick. Well, Big Daddies. Were they called Sugar Daddies or Big Daddies that were on a stick?
These were
that were
chocolate,
caramel?
real chocolate on the outside, and they tasted so good.
Okay, what was school like for you when you were a child? Did it come easy? Was it hard? You know, what do you remember?
I seemed to get good grades, but it was not easy. It was a hard kind of, but I was scared, I think.
Mhm. So you were shy when you were in school. It says, what were your best and worst subjects?
I don't remember.
Do you remember?
Arithmetic, I did well in reading, and I can't remember anymore.
What about English?
I was good in English in high school, in particular.
Because I'm thinking Jerry got his ability probably from you to be a writer. Because I bet you liked English and writing. That type of thing.
I worried about writing. Projects that were hard, a worry to me.
What was hard?
Projects, just a big
You mean like
thing.
assignments that you had to do?
Assignments. Mhm.
Okay, we already covered this. It says, where did you attend grade school? You said it was Binsmead, and high school was Lincoln. Was that for 4 years?
Mhm.
Did you go to college?
No, I just went one quarter.
What quarter? What college would that have been?
I don't remember.
Okay, we got to get back to those crushes on those boys now. So who did you have a crush on?
I don't remember.
Is that in high school or grade school?
Probably both. I'm being honest.
What school activities and sports did you participate in? Do you remember anything like that?
Kick the ball can and baseball.
Did they have baseball teams?
No, I don't think so.
I mean, they had a kick the can high school team?
No. Did they have when you were in school?
No, no.
Probably.
I didn't go to them.
I don't know if they had other kinds of after-school activities, maybe.
There was a club called Tri Lambda, which I belonged to.
Do you remember what you did in that club? That's a funny
I
name.
can't remember. I think we named it that.
Was it just for girls?
I think so.
Did you have, I don't know how far this goes back, but were you ever like in Girl Scouts or Brownies or
No.
anything like that? I don't know if that goes that far back. Okay, what about 4-H?
I
That goes
didn't
back a
belong to
ways.
the 4-H.
Okay, do you remember any fads when you were a youngster?
There's dressing up in grown-up clothes.
Like for school, did they have any particular kind of a hairstyle, or what did the girls usually wear to school?
Regular dresses. I don't think
Some
anything in
dresses.
particular.
Popular hairstyles? How did the girls usually wear their hair in a particular way?
Just the way I wear mine now.
Just
Just
straight?
straight.
More straight rather than
And
curly?
with bangs.
And you don't remember anything particular about clothing? Just that girls had to wear dresses to school, probably.
You
Remember
couldn't wear pants to school.
I couldn't either. Do you remember about what the boys wore?
I didn't pay attention.
Who were your childhood heroes? Can you remember anybody?
I can't remember.
What were your favorite songs and music?
I can't remember that.
Remember
And
anything? Did you take music lessons?
piano a little bit.
So, do you remember who you took lessons from?
I remember the lady, but I don't remember who anyway.
So, did you know how old you were at that time? Were you grade school, high school?
Grade school.
And that was just for a short time?
Were you in a band?
I was in a band.
You played cello or something, was it?
A bass file.
Bass viol, yeah.
I forgot about that.
For all 4 years of high school then?
I don't remember, Judy.
Well, you must have taken lessons to learn how to play that
Well, I did. I didn't take it at home, but I didn't take.
at school.
I took piano lessons for a while.
But the bass viol, you must have taken those lessons in school.
I think
then?
I did.
Okay, do you remember having any pets, and if so, what kind and what were their names?
I remember Jessie yelling out the back door, "We've got a pet," and I didn't know what she meant. And so she wanted me to come and see the pet, the dog. There was a little dog called Trixie.
Oh, what kind of a dog was it? Do you remember?
It was short-haired dog. I forget what short-haired dogs there are.
Like a mixed breed, or was it a purebred? Or
I don't remember.
do you remember where it came from? I mean,
Jessie yelled out the door that somebody gave it to them, I think.
oh. So did you have that pet for a long time then?
I wish I could remember. I think it got killed by a car. We lived on Division.
Oh, that's too bad. So do you remember any other pets? Do you remember any
We
other
didn't have cats.
any
We
other
didn't have
dogs?
cats.
What about dogs? Did you ever
Dogs.
get a dog later then?
I don't remember.
What about Mitzi?
Mitzi, she was an Airedale, and she was curly-haired, curly-faced, and darling dog.
Oh, you probably had her for quite a long time.
A
then.
long time.
What was your religion growing up?
Seventh-day Adventist when I remember.
That's the earliest memory you have.
We went to Sunday school. I remember Mother sent us to Sunday school, and so that was a good experience. And I remember the minister's name was Ellery.
Okay, so Did you attend then church every week? I mean, as your earliest memory?
As
do
a
you remember going?
Sunday school class.
Well, let me see. Well, Sunday school. When were your parents baptized? They were a lot older, weren't they?
I think I was
It's
in
Adventist
high
church.
school.
So you went? Did you go to church then every week until Sunday school until you were older, and then you went to the Adventist church after that, or was there like a lapse in time where?
Honey, I can't remember.
Okay. Were you ever mentioned in a newspaper? Did
Nothing.
anything famous happen to you?
No famous things.
Okay, who were your friends growing up? Do you remember their names?
I can't remember their names.
You don't remember any of their names?
I remember there were a couple boys that I liked, I thought were nice.
But no girl in particular.
No, not. I remember one girl, but I can't think of her name.
What world events had the most impact on you while you were growing up?
The World War II.
And so did any of them personally affect your family?
Pardon?
Did any of the events personally affect your family?
Yes. Ethel's husband was George, and he was lost on a destroyer in the China Sea, and that was a terrible effect on us.
Mm-hmm. That would have been horrible.
He was a young man, and I remember when he was in the Navy, he had someone was mean to him, and they made him hold his hand in his mouth.
Why were they mean to him?
Well, I don't know, just being ornery.
Were any of your other relatives in the war?
Not that I know of.
John Erickson was in World War I.
He was in a World War One. You remember that, Jared? You
We
remember?
have photos of it, of him in his uniform.
Now, and something that I remember from my childhood, and I don't know if you did this in your childhood, but we used to have air raid drills where we'd have to go under the desks
I
to
think
practice
that
for air
happened
raids.
afterward.
Did you have to do that as well?
I don't think so.
You remember hearing any stories from Uncle John when he was in
I
World
don't
War
think so.
I?
I don't think I heard any.
Do you remember when you heard that the war was over? Do you remember that?
I sort of remember the happiness that we felt.
Describe a typical family dinner. Did you all eat together as a family?
It was roast and gravy and potatoes and the Sunday dinner. And it was Mother was such a good cook, and it smelled so good.
Did you usually have like meat and potatoes at every meal?
Not necessarily, but it was the gravy and potatoes and meat. I mean, a lot.
A lot of the meals were that way. And then did you have like a dessert usually at every meal? Do you remember?
Usually.
Do you remember what your different kinds of desserts your mother made?
Apple pies.
Did she like to make cakes too?
Pardon?
Did she like to make cakes or just pies mostly?
Seemed like pies.
Who did the cooking? It would be your mother.
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever see your father cook?
No. He said he burned water.
What were your favorite foods?
I guess candy. I got a penny, to go to the store
Uh-huh.
and buy a penny candy.
So what kind of penny candies were there back then?
They had suckers. They were like taffy suckers and
For a
with
penny?
chocolate.
Wow.
Chocolate on the outside, and I like to get my teeth in the chocolate and scrape it off.
How were your holidays celebrated by your family, the different holidays? Do you remember if your family had special traditions?
Family tradition.
Uh-huh. Like, do you remember what it was like when you'd have a birthday, or anybody would have a birthday? Did your mom do anything special?
She would sing happy birthday, and I don't remember anything special.
Did she let you have a favorite food on your birthday, like something that you particularly liked?
Cakes, I think, and cookies, but I don't recall really.
Okay. What was your favorite holiday?
Christmas. I think all the other kids like Christmas.
Yeah. What would a typical Christmas be like, do you think?
I couldn't wait till morning, and Daddy would say if he could hear the snowman on the roof, and he'd hear say, "Sadie, do you hear that?"
He was a jokester, wasn't he?
he was.
I wish I could have met him.
You didn't ever meet
I
him?
didn't get to. He died before I came into the picture, so I never got to meet him.
He would have loved you. He would have said you had peaches and cream complexion.
Oh. So, and then at Christmas, did you have like stockings? Did you hang stockings up?
Mm-hmm.
And what would you get in your stockings usually?
A ball, and I don't know.
Candy maybe, or?
Probably candy, hard candy.
Oh boy, this is a big one. It says, how is the world different today from what it was like when you were a child?
I think children got less later in the years, and quite a lot when you're young.
You mean children have a lot more things nowadays than they did
Yeah, I
when you were
think so.
young?
It was fun to have relatives for dinner. I liked Sunday dinners. But the house smelled so good. My mother cooked.
It says, what do you know about your family's surname?
It was just a name we all had, part of our name.
Okay, well, I don't know if they're talking about the Erickson name was Scandinavian.
It was German. Grandma's were, well, it was Scandinavian. My grandfather was Scandinavian, but Grandma was German,
I
from
see.
Germany.
Oh. It says, is there a naming tradition in your family, such as always giving the firstborn son the name of his paternal grandfather?
He never had any grandchildren.
Never had a boy, did he?
Boys.
Did he ever mention that he always wanted a boy? I'm sure he probably did.
He wanted boys. He always, every year he bought a boy's pair of shoes, and he never got to use them.
Oh, that was wishful thinking, wasn't it? What stories have come down to you about your parents, grandparents, or ancestors? Is there anything that's been passed down from generation to generation? Stories about family members or...
Daddy had to work and support his family, his mother and dad.
Mm-hmm.
His mother has been particular.
Because his parents were so poor, or did something happen to his
He
father?
had to help. He had to help. I don't know. Grandma didn't have much money. And mother's mother didn't have much money either.
So they knew what it was like to work, to have to work. That's how it was for my dad, too. He was never without a job. He always had a job. Do you remember having a job as a
I had to
child?
pick berries every year and hops real often. And that was a job.
When you pick hops, do you just pick the flowers? Is that
You
what
pick
picking
the
hops
flowers
is?
up, and they have rough stems, and
Uh-huh.
and they cut your hands, and
So you don't have a tool to pick them with? You just pick them with
you
your
just pick them, and it would scratch my hands, and it was hard work.
So you didn't have gloves, I guess.
They wore the gloves out. The
Oh.
gloves wore out.
Oh. They must have a machine for that now, because I don't ever hear of anybody picking hops. Okay, are there any stories about famous or infamous relatives in your family?
I sure don't remember any.
Says, have any recipes been passed down to you from family members?
I can't remember, Judy.
Are there any physical characteristics that run in your family?
I can't remember any.
I didn't know if you had anything. Brown eyes, maybe? You all have brown eyes?
Mother had brown eyes,
Did your dad
and all
have
of my
brown eyes?
sisters had brown eyes.
Are there any special heirlooms, photos, Bibles, or other memorabilia that have been passed down in your family?
I can't think of anything.
Well, what about your sideboard?
Well, I didn't get that till I was grown.
But did you buy that, or did it come from your mother?
It was my grandma's. I don't know.
Oh, it was your grandmother,
I
so
don't
that's
know.
been passed down
Mhm.
then. So your grandma had it, and then your mother had it?
I don't know, honey. I don't remember.
And see, I don't remember it being in your mother's house, but I do remember it being in your house. But it was your mom's mother?
Uh-huh.
So do you remember that as a child then?
I remember it in Grandma's at Vaughn's house.
What was the full name of your spouse? You had two spouses, so.
Albert Alvin Kronig and John Herbert Leslie.
And then what is the full name of your sisters?
Vera Ruth Erickson and Bessie. I forget what her middle name. Bessie
So Bessie, I don't remember Bessie's middle name.
Marguerite, I remember. Her middle name
Bessie
is
Marguerite.
Marguerite. Daddy had a cousin named Marguerite.
Okay, so it was Bessie Marguerite, Vera Ruth,
Mm-hmm.
and then Ethel
Marie.
Marie, and then Norma Jean. What was your mother's full name?
Sadie Ellen Bowen. George Edward Erickson.
When and how did you meet your spouse?
Al was a neighbor of Phil Wilk, and that's how I knew him.
So who introduced you then? Did
I don't
did
remember.
the parents introduce?
I don't remember how I
You
met
didn't
him.
remember that? Do you know how long you knew him before you got married?
Not long enough.
What did you do on dates?
I don't remember.
Did you have dates?
I think so.
What about John? How did you meet John? I know it was through the Corps of Engineers somehow,
That's right.
but I don't remember.
I signed him up for his job there.
Okay, and he was interested in you when he met you somehow,
Somehow he was.
and he just asked you out for a date, I imagine.
I think so. And he asked if he could write to me.
Mm. So then, how long did you know him before you got married? Do you know?
I don't remember.
Do you remember going on dates with him?
With Al?
No,
No, with
John.
John. Yes, I do. He was very polite and nice and a good guy.
So what kind of dates did you go on? You recall?
I don't remember.
What was it like when you were proposed to? Where and when did it happen, and how did it feel? Do you remember that?
I don't remember.
For either one, you don't remember?
Pardon?
Do you remember with either man how they
No.
proposed? Did they propose?
I did propose.
Where and when did you get married? Do you remember where you got married with Al?
I think in our home, my home.
In your mom and dad's home? Did you have a honeymoon?
No, nothing. He didn't spend money on me.
I wonder if you knew that about him before you got married. Did you
I
kind of
didn't
know that?
know that.
How old were you when you got married? Do you remember that?
Probably 20.
Pretty young. It says, what memory stands out the most from your wedding day?
I can't remember.
You don't remember anything? I guess it wasn't very memorable. What about either one of your weddings? Where did you marry John?
At home, I think.
So it was the same kind of a thing as with Al. So, how would you describe your spouse? What do you or did you admire most about them?
John was much of a gentleman, and Al was very kind of crude, and I mean he was nice, but he wasn't what I would have chosen later.
We have 8 more questions, in case you're wondering. How did you find out you were going to be a parent for the first time?
I was so excited I couldn't stand it.
So how did Al react to that news?
I don't remember.
What about John?
He was happy. He was a very good man.
Why did you choose your children's names? You remember?
I don't remember.
So you probably just liked them. You don't remember if they were named after anybody in particular?
Nobody in particular.
What was your proudest moment as a parent? Do you remember it that stands out in your memory?
When they told me they loved me, my kids.
Did they do anything in particular that made you feel proud of them? Or is there anything in particular that made you mad at them? That they said naughty things that they did?
I don't remember them.
I remember one time you said that Brent, you caught him with the vacuum cleaner in the toilet, sucking water
That was
out of the
dangerous.
toilet.
Very dangerous.
Oh, that's really interesting. He probably just was curious what he would
Yes.
do. Yeah, what about Scott?
He wasn't too mischievous.
What about Jerry?
I wish I could remember.
What did your family enjoy doing together? Anything that stands out in your memory?
I had dreams about going to the beach, and I think I told you that I thought houses were on stilts, and the ocean came rushing under
In
the.
some countries they are. Camping. Did you go camping when you were
We
younger
used to
or just
pick
when
up.
you were older?
We picked hops and went camping.
So did you camp in a tent or a cabin?
Cabin.
Did you ever camp in a tent?
Not that I know of. We went picking hops, and it was the hard work that made it fun.
Mm-hmm.
Staying in cabins.
What was your profession and how did you choose it?
I was the secretary.
You remember how you happened to choose that profession?
I don't remember. It was the easiest to get into. I worked for the personnel office, and I was a personnel clerk, and that was kind of fun too. That's how I met John.
Did you enjoy being a secretary?
It was kind of fun.
If you could have had any other profession, what would it have been, and why wasn't it your
A
first choice?
nurse. I would have liked to have been a nurse.
Oh, okay. You would have been a good nurse. Why do you suppose you weren't a nurse?
I don't remember. It just wasn't convenient.
Was Ethel a nurse?
No one was.
Oh, I'm kind of surprised. But then it skipped a generation, and look at all the people that are nurses in your family.
It's
Your
true.
nieces that are nurses, there's a lot. Of all the things you learned from your parents, which do you feel was the most valuable?
To mind my parents.
What did you, of all the things that you learned from your parents growing up, what do you think was the most valuable thing that you learned from them, do you think?
I wish I knew, but I don't know.
What accomplishments were you the most proud of in your life?
Playing the piano.
And what is the thing you most want people to remember about you?
That I was kind and good to everybody.
The end.